Morning, and my name's Moshe, and I'm coming to you from Israel in the Galilee. Today's the 31st of March, and it's about 8:18 in the morning here in Israel. We're going to have a partly cloudy day today with a high of bad one. Well, no, 68. That's not bad. And partially cloudy most of the day until the late afternoon. Then we'll have bright sunshine for a few hours, but we'll have sun off and on, clouds. And then we're going to get, according to them, 2 days of rain. And we're going to have very nice temperature. Now, the rain, when you have a nice temperature, is pleasant. We're going to be at 76 tomorrow and 77 on Thursday. That's like walking in the rain weather. That's pleasant with the rain. You keep the windows open. No, it's nice. Then we go into sunshine for 2 days, which seems to be a pattern kind of, where we're in 73, 71 degrees. Then we go into more rain on Sunday, unfortunately, and Monday. So much rain, it's depressing, I'm telling you. And then on Wednesday next week, we get another day of rain. So it's just so much rain. But again, eventually it'll stop, I'm sure. But the only thing I come up with is the Lord's filling up the Galilee for the next great Exodus, and the land, the farmland, and the land that people grow things on is getting saturated with water, which is very, very good. And we'll be getting runoff from the Golan Heights and mountains going into the Sea of Galilee, probably for at least a month. So it'll keep getting fuller. So that's pretty good, really. Um, all right. It's a freshwater lake, by the way. It's 7 miles long and about 5 miles wide. So it's not a big thing. And in bad weather, you see waves about that high. You get what's called chop, which might maybe be a foot, maybe, but probably not even. That's all you get. You don't get any turbulent weather on that lake whatsoever. It's like a huge swimming pool. You don't get much. So today we're going to talk about Trump and his constant talking about ceasefires, which are not happening. And there's all sorts of ground troops coming into the Middle East. And we just found out they moved A-10 Warthogs. Now, the A-10 Warthog is a rather deadly plane for ground troops. It's exceptional for that, and I think it would be very appropriate to shoot the thousands of go-fast boats that Iran has. It shoots usually, it could be 20 millimeter gun. It has uh, a 6-barrel rotating gun in the front of the plane that they can control with radar and all that stuff, computer controlled. And they could put 25 millimeter rounds, 30 millimeter, all sorts of things in there. They can put incendiary that starts fires, armor piercing, everything. The thing is a ferociously potent round in any of its configurations, 20 millimeter, 25, 30 millimeter. It doesn't matter. It's a horrifically dangerous round that can slice through tanks, the tanks that our enemies have. It's going to go right through those. And it'll take out armored vehicles, jeeps. Um, if enemy is hiding in a structure like a concrete house or buildings or something like that, you can just go knock the concrete down with these rounds, And he's got to watch that because he can only carry so many rounds. When you would, if you were dealing with a big bomber plane, that has a crew of 8 and can carry, 30,000 pounds of bombs or something like that. Well, they could load that up with, gunners having thousands of rounds of ammo each, but you can't do that with A-10. It's a fighter jet type thing, and it's a low speed jet. It goes around 450 miles an hour. Um, you don't want to be buzzing by at, you know, 700 miles an hour when you're trying to focus on ground activities. It's too fast. That's an interesting plane we got overhead. No, he's not going fast. So the slow speed helps it. Now, they better make darn sure that Iran has no surprise anti-aircraft systems still around, because that will tag the A-10 Warthogs and bring them down. But I imagine they'll make plenty sure of it. So for ground fighting, you want to back up your troops. So let's say you got 20 special forces guys going on a mission and they get seen. Well, when you're in special forces and you get seen by the enemy, you've probably got about a 50% chance of getting killed. Uh, it's going to depend on a few things, but typically what kind of air support and or maybe artillery support you're going to get, and what about getting an evacuation out of the area. But what happens is you just get hunted down. So even if you're a group of 40 special forces and you run into 300 or 400 soldiers, you have no chance of survival. You got to get out of there. You could hold them off until you run out of supplies, out of ammo and rockets and missiles, whatever you got. So in this case, there'll be abundant air support, right? So they'll be able to get out of it that way. The Warthog would be one. So if there's a bunch, a few hundred, 1 or 200 ground troops moving in on them, they come with the Warthog and they, boom, it's so fast. It's about 3,300 rounds a minute. So it doesn't sound like, it sounds like, really fast. And it just wipe out the soldiers. Now, um, they might need, they're not going to have just one warthog. They'll have 3 or 4 or 5. So they'll just start, they'll just mow them down. In Vietnam, they did that using napalm, which burned them alive. They don't do that anymore. They could, but I don't think they will. They would feel this is more humane, and it is rather effective, and it doesn't destroy the landscape or anything else. It just mows them down. And it doesn't matter if they got vehicles and stuff. These rounds are so deadly. So they moved them from America to Europe, and that's the standard, hop, skip, and a jump. Stops in Europe, and then refuel, and it'll come here. People are saying the 82nd Airborne is in Saudi Arabia. I can't guarantee that. I don't know. We're going to talk about how prophecy is being fulfilled so accurately and how new stages are opening up, specifically with Edom, which is Yemen. And I'm going to show you that, and we're going to go through the prophecies. So it's going to be a pretty interesting show today. I want to go check on the live stream now and see if people are coming in, and if we do have a live stream, and like we got sound and picture. So there's all sorts of substantial numbers of special forces from America that have arrived. I mean, they're bringing the whole gamut in. You're going to have SEALs, you're going to have recon Marines, you're going to have Delta, you'll have Green Berets, you'll have Rangers, you'll have everything here. 82nd Airborne is generally not considered special forces, but they're excellently highly trained fighters for ground fighting and stuff like that there. I don't know what happened here. I don't think that's. Oh, I'm back. Okay. Thank you to the moderators. Got a lot of nasty people putting lousy, nasty comments up. The moderators take care of them. These idiots don't usually realize until it's too late. You keep getting blocked enough, they're gonna just stop you. You'll still be able to go in and watch whatever you want to watch in YouTube, but they're gonna stop your ability to post anywhere. Okay, I'm gonna put up a short post that is gonna take probably seconds, not minutes, to get up. Okay, let me get this up here. Got it up, and let me pin this. And we got it good. Okay, that worked out. People are coming in, aren't they? Yep. And all right. So being a Bible believing site, Old and New Testament, I'm going to do some praise. You can join in. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay, let me tell you some of the things that you're not going to get in any mainstream media because I live here. I've lived here for many, many years. Something's changed for the better. All of a sudden, the packages coming through the airport are moving again. So that means Israel opened up the airports more than they had in the past. So that means now they're very, very, very careful about this. And we never had a passenger plane or a cargo plane from an airline or a private operator like Federal Express or something ever get damaged. Or maybe some superficial lightweight thing, but I mean really damaged. No, I don't believe we ever had it. So they're opening up the airport more, which means they're more confident. We've been destroying a lot of stuff up with Hezbollah in Lebanon, which is more of a threat to the airport than Iran. And we've been occupying the south. They're shooting missiles at us all day, all night. We've pushed them up about 25 to 27 miles away from our border, which means that cheaper, junky rockets don't work. It also means that their range was just knocked back by 25 miles. Because they're not operating in that area. Anybody spotted in that area is getting killed. There are drones patrolling, aircraft patrolling, soldiers on the ground. You spot them, that's it. They're terrorists. Goodbye. Now, we've knocked down about 100 high-rise buildings in Lebanon already. I mean, we're annihilating the place. The Lebanese government lied to us. They told us that Hezbollah weapons and all that stuff was deactivated by them from the Litani River to the border, which is 17 or 18 miles, depending on where in the river you're measuring. And they lied. And we know they lied. It wasn't that they made a mistake. And then, no, they lied. So now we're going in with impunity. They tried to throw out what do you call it? Got some diplomat from Iran, the ambassador or something over there. They told him he's persona non grata, get out of here. And he said he's not leaving. You don't tell me what to do. And he's staying there. So they're saying they're occupied by Iran. Kind of true by proxy with Hezbollah. 60% of the Lebanese army is Shiite Muslim, and they may join Hezbollah, but I don't think so. It's a possibility, but it doesn't look likely. So I think in the last week there were some major breakthroughs, and they're still launching, though. But we're getting a takedown rate is very, very high right now. Our successful interception rate is rather high, extremely high. So all of a sudden we're seeing packages start moving again. So I think that means there's something good happening in the war here. Now, that also probably means the Houthis going to enter in, but it's generally hard as all get up for the Houthis to get a missile up into Israel. They can usually manage to target a lot, which is very, very far south. You could probably walk the Saudi Arabia border from there easily, not a big walk at all. So that's what they go for. And would take it down. So I don't know how aggressively they're getting into the war. They have not attacked any shipping in the Red Sea yet. And I think that the Iranians are trying to plead with them, bribe them, threaten them, or whatever to get them to attack shipping in the Red Sea. But they know if they do that, they're going to be getting bombed. And they also know that because they're attacking Israel again, they're going to get visited in the skies by Israel. But I promise you, if Netanyahu is still around, he will do nothing of any substance but destroy real estate. He won't go around killing them. He's just no stinking good. And the people in Israel don't all understand. A lot do understand it, but they don't all understand it. The alibi they'll say is, well, we start killing the healthiest, what's going to happen is the nations are going to start saying they're going to kill us. What a lie. It's just nonsense. It's to keep people from trusting Jehovah. He says, I am with you in the prophecies. Isaiah 34:8 says, I am with you. So do they believe that? No. Who do they want to believe? Trump, Netanyahu, both of which lie to them. There's no negotiations. Every day Iran denies it multiple times. And Trump says it's fake news. It's not fake news. It's direct from Iran. They're directly saying on their own social media, for instance, that is not, Fox News or CNN, that it's not going on. Okay. So Trump is buying time, and he's trying to keep the oil prices down by lying. So he's a liar. He likes lies. He who loveth and maketh a lie. And then, it's the same thing. They like lies. You don't win wars when you're working on the side of Jehovah by lying. That's not how you do it. You don't use lies for any reason. Okay? You just don't do it. Does anybody criticize Trump and say, well, the Bible tells us that lying is really bad? Why are you doing that, Trump? No, nobody's saying that. Okay, he's probably lying until he can bring in more equipment, more soldiers, and so forth. Okay, quick word on prophecy fulfillment. Trump said if the Iranians don't make a deal with him, which is going to be everything Trump wants, he destroy their oil fields, that's the oil wells, refineries, their entire electric grid in the entire country, everything, everything they got is going to be destroyed. And that's probably going to happen in about 4 or 5 days, probably by the weekend or something like that. Israel runs into Passover any day now. I think later in the week we have Passover. Not the true date for Passover. It's the rabbinical date, I believe. And the airport opening up could have a little bit to do with that, but probably not. I think it's more or less packages and things like. But anyway, I'll explain. A lot of Jews from around the world, many from Europe, like France has a lot, UK has a lot, and in other parts of Europe, they come to Israel for Passover. Okay, you see them. They rent, a hotel room, and they rent a Airbnb, whatever, right? And the rates go up because it's Passover. They'll charge more. And they come here and they, do their Passover. They go to some synagogue and they do their Passover here and they travel and visit the sites. Passover is, I think, the first day. You see, they don't even observe it right. You have, a 7 days of unleavened bread, and you have a previous day before the 7 of a Passover, which is called Pesach. And they have said if you live in Israel, you don't do 8 days, you just do 7. Based on what? On we said so. Well, they don't follow the Bible. So that's silly. And what else did these geniuses do? If you live outside of Israel, then you have the 8 days for some reason. It's so bizarre. You trying to analyze it is ridiculous. It's like sitting there like a detective and trying to analyze a um, Superman comic book, and it's what are you crazy? So it's nuts. It's a fiction book called Talmud. Uh, that's what they try to do. Okay, so the tourism into Israel is way, way, way down because of the war and the lack of flights and the price for the flights, if you could find any. So now that it's opening up, you're not going to see a large influx of tourists because they would have had to make plans, and they didn't make plans. They probably made other plans for Passover, so they're not going to change it. So you're not going to see a lot of that. Are you going to see a lot of Israelis leaving Israel for Passover? I doubt it, because for the similar reasons. The price of the airfares would be too high, and they haven't made plans to do that. So, like, they didn't get reservations and stuff like that. So, I don't think they're going to be leaving. A lot of Israelis like to leave Israel on Passover because they don't want to go around and eat the matzah, which isn't, I mean, the barley is the correct unleavened bread, not the wheat. But, they're so far out of it, there's no point in trying to talk to them. So, the unleavened barley bread is what you're supposed to go for, which is not a hard, brittle matzah. It's a thin bread. You generally make it round like a pita, and it tastes pretty darn good. There's nothing wrong with barley bread, nothing at all. I could eat it all day long. Now, personally, although there's nobody in Israel celebrating Passover anywhere, shape, or form resembling correct. Why? Well, first of all, we have no temple, no tabernacle, not even an altar. So there's no one doing the mandatory sacrifices and offerings. There's no operating priesthood. So anybody that tells you they're observing Passover is playing games. Okay, they're not observing Passover. They're playing a game called, hey, let's do some of the stuff on Passover. Okay, let's have a game. Let's play a game. Okay, that's all they're doing. Now, the additional damage they do is you're not supposed to observe Passover outside of Israel. That's why there's in the Moses law. Well, Moses law is Moses law. We're not going to be doing Moses law anymore. But anyway, let's just put that aside. And there is going to be a law that we follow, but it's not. And there will be a temple, and there will be offerings and a priesthood. But let's play with this anyway. So let's say we're dumb enough and we want to go put ourselves under Moses' law, and nobody can fulfill or observe Moses' law because there's no temple, there's no offering. That's why Yeshua put us under the age of grace. And we get our righteousness from him, not from doing offerings and sacrifices in a temple or an altar. Okay? So let's say we're going to take that and throw that away and say, we don't want that. We want to go back and work in the flesh. Well, you're never going to get it right because people just don't, especially without a temple or a priesthood. So it's impossible. Impossible. Okay. So what do what are they doing? Well, Satan's getting them to place themselves under Moses' law, which they can't fulfill. But anyway, the reason there's two Passovers, the first one, and then there's one 7 days later, a month later, rather, a month later, is for people that are out of Israel, assume they would travel back in time and observe it on the second Passover. So you're not supposed to observe Passover outside of Israel. So these Satan leaders, and yes, they're satanic leaders, are not only getting the people to try to bring them back under Moses' law, they're also twisting them up so bad. Oh, I'm putting myself under Moses' law by trying to observe the Passover. They don't know that. And then I'm even doing it wrong because I'm not supposed to observe it outside of Israel. So, anyway, moving along, a lot of Israelis don't like going around and having to eat unleavened bread. They want their pita bread. So, some of them just buy, you know, 15 or 20 pita breads in plastic bags, and or depending on the size of the family, and they put it in the freezer and they freeze it and then use them as needed. Um, but there's a lot of others that just don't want to be in Israel during. Okay, I'm thinking if I should go through with you what else they do wrong. I don't know. It's a long list. Uh, but you've got the remember it says if you break one part of the law, you broke the whole law. So that's why Satan wants to, and his servants wants to put the people back under it. When you're under grace, you're under grace. That doesn't mean you could violate Galatians 5:19-21, but it does mean you don't have to worry about the fact that there is no temple, there is no active priesthood, there's no altar, so forth. That you don't have to worry about. Okay. All right. So so Trump is saying that if there's no peace deal, he's going to blow up the oil fields, that's the oil wells, the refineries, the electrical plants. He's going to destroy Cargo Island instead of occupying it. And he said he's even going to destroy the water desalination. And he says that the Iranians are no longer going to have a country. The mullahs are not going to have a country. And he's saying it's going to be retribution for what they did to, I believe he used the words American soldiers. Okay. And the Iranians have fortified their beaches with the IRGC. So they're dug in. What do you do when you fortify? Oh, you put these things that look weird like this out of heavy metal girders with steel beams in there. They got like 6 different prongs and they sit in the ground, and the tanks have a lot of trouble dealing with them. It slows the tank down. So if they take landing ships and try to drive the tanks off onto the beach, they're going to get snared by these things, which is a problem, and slowed down, which makes them vulnerable for attack by artillery, by anti-tank missile or rocket, and so forth. They're also likely going to use landmines, although I can't guarantee that. And then they'll dig in with machine gun embankments that are going to be very difficult for the soldiers to get. How would you do that? Well, the way it's usually done is they dig a pit in the ground, maybe 4 or 5 feet deep. If they got enough time, they'll pour concrete so the guys have a place that's dry and they could sit there and sleep in there and eaten there and, stuff like that. It's no big effort to pour concrete in there. And then they build a little bunker over it out of concrete to protect them. Not from, probably aren't trying to protect them from a direct hit of a bomb, but they probably put a few inches of concrete up there. It's definitely going to stop machine gun fire and any kind of shrapnel from their misses. Okay. Germany did that in World War II, and it was a very bloody experience for our soldiers. It was really hard. They jammed things up for hours, hours and hours, and it was hard. And knowing what I know of Trump, not having any direct personal knowledge, I think he definitely does not want to see American soldiers get mowed down and killed at all. So I imagine there'll be A-10 warthogs working on these beaches before any Americans come in. And the warthogs definitely have rounds that'll penetrate the concrete unless they're, putting up, 3-foot concrete walls, which I doubt they're doing, but maybe they are. They might even be putting 6-foot. Hitler did stuff like that. Uh, so that's going to be a fight landing on the beaches. And I don't believe at all that there's any sort of peace negotiations going on. I've thrown that out the window. If it was true what Trump's saying, oh, the Iranians just don't want to admit it. Why? Why would they not want to admit it? And they're saying that their demands to stop the war are war reparations and all kinds of crazy things. They want to charge money for people across the Persian Gulf, and you got to pay them in Iranian rial, and it's lunatic. All the sanctions get lifted, and immunity for Hezbollah and Hamas and themselves. So even though they kill their own citizens and other civilians by bombing daycare centers, and we want immunity. I mean, none of this is going to happen, and they want to stay in control, and they're not giving up any of their nuclear facilities, and they're not restricting anything to do with ballistic missiles. That's their demands. So when they do speak, that's what you get, and they're not talking to Trump behind the scenes, and at the same time, Trump is going around telling the world that they're negotiating, and they're not. Trump is doing that to get the oil prices to subdue. At the same time, the Congress and, well, not so much Congress, but committees in Congress and in the government are having discussions about what they're going to do with $200 a barrel oil. If they're talking like that, $200 a barrel oil, I'm telling you, we better be thinking about $500 a barrel oil, if that's what they're thinking about. Now, why? Because it's not going to take 48 hours to destroy Iran. They're going to be in there for weeks. It may be 2, 3, 4 weeks, a month, or even 8 weeks. Okay. I think 8 weeks would be the maximum, but a month would be very comfortable figure the way I'm looking at it. Okay. Maybe 6 weeks. It's not going to be quick. And what it looks like they're going to do, they're going to take now, I mean, what you got, the Air Force has special forces, but they do pilot rescue in hostile territory. So they're not really geared up for this. So I don't think they're going to be involved. Any Coast Guard special forces they have is small and going to be, working on nautical situations. And so you're going to have the Marines, Expeditionary Force Marines, that are basically like a Navy SEAL in reality. They know how to work with submarines in the water and dive into the water, and they know how to work in jungles and the deserts and And these are tough cookies. They're like Navy SEALs. They really are. They're tough cookies. I've known them. I know one really, and it was a tough cookie. And they're going to deploy. And these are not run-of-the-mill fighters. These guys are tough as nails, and they're hard as well get up to deal with in combat. And a lot of these guys are going around on active operations around the world for America for decades. And they're in combat, very quietly. These are battle-hardened guys, okay? And the Iranians haven't gotten any ground warfare experience, okay? They don't know what it is. Neither has Hezbollah. The last time Hezbollah had any real experience was 2006. And those guys are retired or quite old, and, okay? I mean, if you were a private in Hezbollah in 2006, you were a kid, let's say you were 20 years old, and you got 20 years later, so you're 40 years old. Okay, so you're not really that fit for combat anymore, but you might be a lieutenant or something like that. So they might have a few of these running around, but the actual ground force guys, the young ones, the ones that are 18 to 27, 28 years old, the ones that are really, even up to 30, they're going to be able to handle the rigors of harsh combat. They did not have any experience. Okay, so you've got the recon Marines. They're going to play wipeout. They're tough cookies. They really are. And they're very efficient, and they hit hard. Okay. And then you got the Navy SEALs, and they're, they're monsters like the recon Marines. Okay. Then you got Delta Forces. They're going to be doing very, very, very sensitive things. Like Trump wants to recover nuclear material. They might have 700, 1,000 pounds of the stuff. So they'll be doing stuff like that. Okay. Trump would very much like to snatch the leaders of the country and hold them on trial and execute them. They'll be doing things like that. The Green Berets are going to be there too. They might be training the protesters, but it looks like that's out the window. I think the Pentagon and probably Netanyahu, the Mossad, have come to the conclusion that the people doing the protests, there's not enough of them that are going to actually go into combat and take care of it. Enough of them would probably be 250,000, okay, or at least 100,000, at least, that are going to do, Johnny, get your gun and go into combat. They're not going to do that. So that's off the table. So the Shah's son is going to be the Shah of a wasteland, basically. Trump getting rid of all of these things is going to end the nation of Iran, fulfilling the prophecy. Okay, also breaking the bow with Elam. They're going to go to these fortified military cities, missile cities, I should have said, and they're going to either penetrate, in other words, barrier penetration. They're going to go in, right? And right? Okay. Very likely. The people in the missile cities are not going to be crack troops. Now, they might send some IRGC in there, but again, these are not crack troops. They'll fight, they'll put up a fight, but what are the American Special Forces going to fight with? They could use gas. I think they should. If it reduces casualties, just use toxic gas. Throw chlorine gas in the place. Throw mustard gas in the place. They won't do that, but they'll use. But they probably would go with tear gas and things like that. All right. They'll have violent encounters inside the facility and kill them. Then when they kill them, they go to the computer centers and the places where they got the missile launchers and stuff like that, and they just take satchels like basically a backpack, a small backpack full of charge, full of explosives. It's one big explosive. It has a fuse and a timer. It's 20 pounds, maybe 35 pounds. They put it by the missile launcher. Any vital instruments they have there, anything, right? And they blow it up. And they might also take other satchels and put it by the missile inventory and set a timer on that and blow that up. And then you'll have a massive amount of secondary explosions in the place, wrecking it. And it'll probably prove to be uninhabitable after that. If there is a lot of missiles, like what's a lot, 20? Yeah, that'd be a lot, If they got 100 in there like they like to talk, it would be a massive destruction of the place. Trump wants to get rid of all the military hiding under the ground in their fortified cities inside mountains, and he wants to get rid of their missile launch capability. He can't, that's what he wants to do. You can't get rid of it with the bombing. So there's shades of gray here. If you go around and bomb the oil fields and you bomb the oil pipelines, which they're going to do, and Cargo Island, where 90% of their oil gets pumped into the tanker ships, did you stop the missile launches? Not at all. Okay? If you knock out the electrical grid in the whole country, did you stop the missile launchers? Maybe you did. Maybe you did. And then all you got to do is make sure the electrical grid has been thoroughly knocked out. So you have to rebuild the whole thing. Okay? See, but what Trump doesn't want to do, Hegseth and Rubio, I think Hegseth said it. We don't want to have to come back. So in other words, you go in there and you blow the grid out, and then Iran starts a rebuilding campaign. And 2-3 years from now, they got electricity back. They're working their oil fields again. Everything's back again. You don't want that. Okay. So you don't want to just close the missile cities by knocking out the electric generators. You want to destroy the missile cities too. And they can't do it with the planes because we learned it takes 250 to 300 regular bombs on one of these missile cities to actually get rid of it. Because they can go 800-900 feet inside a mountain, and they got 800-900 feet of rock and dirt on top of them, and that's going to stop bunker busters even, because then there's layers of concrete that the Iranians put in, and not concrete like this, concrete like 5-6 foot layers of concrete in the mountain above the missile city, that their missiles, their penetrative missiles, will get confused and blow that up before they get to the real missile city. And they'll have probably 2 layers of concrete that have to get through. So there's only so many, bunker buster bombs. And if there was going to be working, it would have worked, and it's not really working. So what are they going to do? They're going to use boots on the ground to get rid of the problem. They can do many things. They might invade these missile cities and shoot it out with them. They probably have to, because when you just go in from the entrance, you're going to have to travel around in tunnel type atmosphere over there to get into the actual missile city. And they probably have blast doors of some sort to keep people out. You know, it's not that easy, but not all that hard either. Especially if you find out where their ventilation is, you could attack them through the ventilation. Israel's not going into Iran with boots on the ground. Netanyahu said that. I said that a while ago. We're just not set up for it. I mean, we might send a few special forces guys over there to help uh, America for some special reason or something like that. But our special forces guys are really worried about a ground invasion coming from Lebanon. A small amount of concern with something like that coming from Syria, Iranian-backed militias there, you know. But how do we transport them over there? That's not one of our things. Will Israel give America air support to their boots on the ground operation? Oh, 101%. Absolutely. Yeah, I hope you're more than happy to do that. Um, yeah, that'll work. How effective can we be at that? Extremely effective. Very, very good at it. As good as anybody in the world, not maybe better. You know, look, I'll tell you right now, American military is very, very good, and so is the Israeli. The American military is good at the high levels, the highly motivated troops, not the regular sailors, not the regular sad sack soldiers, not the regular airmen in the Air Force. I'm talking about the crack people, okay? The guys on the submarines really want to be on the submarines, okay? Those are going to be good troops. The pilots are excellent. They want to be there. You know, the special forces want to do it. Now, there's a tremendous amount of special forces that do one tour and then they quit. They don't like it. They don't feel like they want to get killed. There's a lot of, you know, when they're in special forces, they realize that they're not supermen. And there's a lot that are laying around crippled on disability pensions, which is nothing. If you're an officer, let's say you're a captain and you're making $55,000 a year and they put you on full disability, well, now you got something. Okay. But if you're you know, a sergeant, you're making, you know, $30,000 a year, maybe you're not even doing that much, but let's say you are, and then they let you out at that full pension, then you know, and if you got two or three kids and a wife, what do you got? You got a lousy get by living. That's what you got. Yeah, you'll have your VA benefits for medical. You won't have to pay for medical. You won't have to buy private insurance. You'll have all that with no deductible and all that good stuff. But um, how are you going to make it? That's the sergeant. What if the guy's a private or a corporal? He's going to get $24,000 a year, you know, and they'll give him that as a pension. And, you know, if he's a single guy and he gets $2,000 a month, what's he going to do? get a dumpy apartment for $700-800. Yeah, yeah, and then hope he has enough to buy food and take the bus and stuff, and that's about it. Um, it's now if you're a colonel and you're making $85,000 a year and you go out at $85,000 a year, at least you're getting by, you know. So a lot of these guys see this and they do one tour and they don't want to do it again. Does that mean they're going to do a lousy job while they're doing the one tour? No. But it means this: if they don't re up for a second tour, they don't get put on the special forces teams where it's critical. They're just run of the mill special forces. They're being watched carefully, trained. Okay. If they re up a second time and they got another 3 years in there, okay, then when it goes to the third time, they're going to get a reenlistment bonus of probably $50,000 or $100,000. Okay. And they're then going to be considered seasoned troops. So they got 6 years in the military. So they join at 18. So they're 24 years old. They're super prime and they're very experienced. That's what they're after. Okay. That's what they're after. Okay. Um, so they're going to have to get the missile cities with the special forces. Now, are they going to get right up on the outside of the facility and blow it up from the outside, or penetrate and go inside? Probably a mixture. I don't know. Uh, they got multiple layers to get rid of the missile launch sites. One is the electric grid goes out. I think they're just going to have to take out the grid and then watch and see what happens, because they could be running generators and maybe for a week, or 10 days, and then their generators are going to burn out. I don't know. They might have enough to go a month or 3 months in those tunnels. I don't know what the heck they did. Okay, but there's a way to take them out. Remember the rule of thumb: any construction guy who builds buildings or houses will tell you this. The only way you can protect your building, or let's call it a house, your house, from stopping bad guys from getting in is if you build it so secure you can't get in, because they'll tell you if you could get in, they could get in. So let's take that logic. The Iranian soldiers could get into the missile cities, so that means the American soldiers can also. Okay. It's just a question of how and how much effort it's going to be, but they could definitely get in. Trump destroying everything he said he's going to destroy. No oil industry, no electrical grid. Where's that leave you? You have no country. You have no economy, right? And you have no power. That means, and you got a water shortage because your desalination is going, and they got a drought. What happens? Well, you're going to leave the country and go into every other country in the world, and then the sword will follow you until you all get cut off. And that's going to also include Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, and Oman, because Iran, as they become attacked, is going to attack these places. They've already said if we're getting ground attacked, we're going to hit UAE. Well, they're probably going to hit a couple others too, like Kuwait, the one Saddam Hussein hit, and Bahrain and Qatar. They're going to try to take them all over, and that's because these countries, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, and Oman are um, and they're part of this Elam too, and they're going to go too. Now, this is recompenses, prophetic, Isaiah 34, verse 8, and other scriptures too. And you're seeing brother fight brother, Muslim kill Muslim, Muslim destroy the other Muslim nations. Okay. Trump keeping the oil prices up is very temporary, and that whole thing he's got is based on lies, and it's held together by spit and bubble gum. Wow, the sun's strong out there now. Okay. The oil prices are going to come roaring up in price. And then when that happens, there's going to be such fear about stability of governments. The gold and the silver is going to go up like, you know, you watch it. Now, I mean, it might be you got $3 or $4 silver, you could buy a good used car or a new car. I don't know. You got, it could be you got 3 or 4 gold, 1 ounce gold pieces, you could buy a house. I have no idea how high. They say, oh, gold will go to 10. How the heck do you know? Other people are saying $48,000. They say if gold goes to its true value, it's going to be worth $48,000. So if you got 3 1 ounce gold coins, you're at $150,000. You buy a house. I'm not kidding. You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. Paper money is trash. Okay. God tells Israel when we're redeemed in the future, we're going to use gold and silver. He specifies what the value of the coins is going to be too. We're not, this is one of Satan's stupid ideas. That's why all the countries fail eventually, because they realize they could just print the paper, and they wreck their own government because the leaders are stupid. They're like Satan bots. You have to understand, Satan bots behave like bad children. Bad children. The ones that that have to stay late at school all the time, that get detention, the ones whose parents threaten to throw them out of the house because they can't control them. This is what Satan bots are like. They're idiots. Okay. The least intelligent believer in Yeshua in the world is smarter than the smartest Satan bot. Do you understand? Okay. And idiots like to believe they're very smart. They're smart in the wrong things. Okay, let's go. Trump said words to this effect: if Iran does not listen, they will not have a country. And that is the fulfillment of the prophecy of Elam. And Iraq is part of that thing, as is Bahrain, more than likely. Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, UAE, and Oman. Now, I want to give you an encouraging piece of prophetic news. Drum roll. This is really encouraging. It's about Edom, Yemen, getting destroyed. Egyptian member of, I want to talk low. I don't want to drown my wife out. I think she's online or something. Egyptian member of parliament, Mustafa Bakri. How do you go through life with a name like Mustafa? I don't know. I don't want to know. The Houthis need to know that Egypt will not remain silent if there is a threat to its national security and the Bab al Mandeb Strait is closed. That's the one in the Red Sea, the pincher point right by Yemen. Egypt has remained silent for a long time, despite the losses it has suffered recently. But I do not believe Egypt can remain silent in the face of threats to close the strait. The strait is the economic lifeline for Egypt. Its closure would be a great disaster. Okay, that's the Sinai, no, not the Sinai, the Suez Canal that Egypt owns and collects tolls on. And that's the Red Sea, connecting Red Sea to the Mediterranean. And if the Houthis start attacking the shipping, it's going to cut down 90% or 98% of the shipping. And Egypt's revenue from the Suez Canal, which is vital to their economy, goes down by 98%. So it bankrupts Egypt. So Egypt's saying, we're going to come in guns blazing, you stupid morons. And this is more Muslim fighting Muslim. I rest my case. If this happens between Egypt and Edom, what we would say in Israel is we wish both sides the very best in their endeavors to kill each other. Okay, I do have some prayer requests I don't want to forget. Let me get in these. I will say the prayer and you guys can agree with me. So we'll use the agreement. With two or more agree, it'll be done by our Father in heaven, Jehovah. So it makes it stronger than if I just do it myself or we do it onesies. Let's just all agree with it. If you're a believer, you can agree with this. The first one is for AP, Alpha Papa, AP, Alpha Papa. Prayer request is for more faith, wisdom, and shalom, peace. For AP, I pray, my Heavenly Father, for more faith, wisdom, and peace, and a better walk with you. I pray for this, my Heavenly Father, Jehovah, B'Shem, Yeshua, HaMashiach, and you can agree with this. Okay? Next is for for SS, Sierra, SS, Sierra. I'll give you the prayer. It's a healing prayer. My Heavenly Father, Jehovah, I pray for the father of SS that's in the hospital with a stroke to recover and get out of the hospital quickly, have a quick recovery, and stay healthy. I pray all this to you, my Heavenly Father, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, and you can agree with this if you like. Okay? That is it for prayer requests. Let me delete so I know these were done. Okay. Let's go through some scriptures. I want to prepare you for what's coming. Romans 2, 8 through 10. Okay. Unto them that are contentious, that means they're fighting, they're going to contend with the Lord. Okay. It's like the heavyweight contender, the guy that wants to get in the ring with the heavyweight champion. He's a contender and fight him. Contentious is fighting. So unto them that are contentious, indignation and wrath. Okay, bad stuff. Tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that doeth evil. Okay, of the Jew first, and also of the Goyim, the heathen. But glory, honor, and peace to every man that worketh good, to the Jew first, and also to the Goyim. The evil comes to the Jew first. Again, tribulation, anguish upon every soul of man that doeth evil, of the Jew first, and also of the Goyim. Now, it appears that the tribulation, anguish is transferring off the Jews to the heathen right now, the other Muslim nations specifically. It's because it is. Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Oman, Jordan, Saudi Arabia. And then Edom is getting it, and Iran is getting it, and Iraq is getting it. And Syria already got it. And they'll get more. Do you understand? It's transferring over. This is not a theory, this is a reality. Okay, it's very real. And what that means is the daughter of Babylon's time is right at the door. It's at the doors. Knock, knock, I'm destruction. I want to come in, daughter of Babylon. That's a joke I'm making up, but it's an illustration. It's right at the doors. Trump is fulfilling the prophecies on Elam perfectly. And it also says, to every man that worketh good, but what it says, but glory, honor, and praise to every man that worketh good, to the Jew first. So the salvation is going to hit Israel first. It's going to start there. It's going to pour his, Zechariah 12:10. He pours his spirit out on the house of David and those in Jerusalem, and we get the everlasting life. But that's when he appears, and then everybody else gets it. But we'll get it first. Maybe not first by a long time, but first, I guess. The Spirit being poured out could be days or weeks before the appearing, for instance. Could be. I don't know. Sounds like it's in close sequence, but maybe it's not. Probably is, but maybe it's not. I don't know. Romans 1:16. For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. I am not ashamed of the gospel of Mashiach, of Christ means Mashiach, for it is the, I mean, like, Trump's name is Donald Trump. The Messiah's name is not, Yeshua Christ, like Christ is his last name. I don't know how many people probably think that, but Christ means anointed. Okay, that's what it means. Christ comes from Christos, and it all comes from the Hebrew Mashiach, anointed. For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Mashiach, anointed, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first and to the Greek. So the Holy Spirit's going to be poured out on those in the house of David and Jerusalem. And That'll be first. Jeremiah 25, and what I'm really trying to tell you is daughter of Babylon's going, okay? It's already begun. And I think Trump's just being used he's in a snare. Don't forget that America's in a snare and he's running America. So America, not him, America's in the snare. If he dies, the snare is still there. So he might be bringing many, many, many ground troops over here before he's finished. We don't know. And that leaves America open for the attacks. But let's look at that as it develops. Jeremiah 25, verse 31 to 32. Jehovah hath a controversy, a fight, an argument with the nations. He will give them that are wicked to the sword. He's doing that now. Iran, Yemen, Lebanon, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, they're getting it. Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, behold, evil shall go forth from nation to nation. That's already started. Wake up. It's already begun. What's going on in South Korea? They're limiting their people because of a gas shortage. They're limiting their people to drive their car 1 day a week. And they have license plate readers all over the country. So if you take a side road to your grocery store that's 14 blocks away, you're probably not going to get hit with a license plate reader, but you're taking a chance. If a police car comes by, it probably automatically will scan your license plate. So if you get hit, then they probably give you a heavy fine. So they're so scared about the gas over there, they're cutting people down to basically driving your car 1 day a week. It's coming all over the place, the gas shortage. Trump can keep trying to make it, go away, but it's not going to go away. You're not only going to lose the oil in Iran, they're going to do everything they can to get rid of the oil in Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, and Oman. And when you add all that up with Iranian oil and Iraqi oil, which Iraq will go, it's pretty stinking substantial. It seems to me the Houthis are afraid to shut the Red Sea. They're afraid of something. Egypt doesn't care what the nations think. They'll go down the Red Sea and start destroying Yemen. They're not going to say, oh, Yemen, we know you're not at fault. We'll just get the Houthis. No, they'll go get everybody. Now, on the same line of thought with prophecy being fulfilled, Ukraine, Zelensky, the Jewish guy running Ukraine, I use the word guy lightly, is gone to the Middle East. I think he's still here, and he's making clients for money. And he got Qatar, and he has Saudi Arabia so far. And I'm sure guys, I can't guarantee it. I'm pretty sure the UAE will kick in too. I don't think Oman will, and Kuwait, I don't know. But Qatar and Saudi Arabia signed up. What is Zelensky good at? Drones. He's got drones and then he knows how to use them and build them, and he's really given Russia trouble supreme with drones. And he's very good at destroying oil refineries and oil storage facilities with drones because he's doing it to Russia. He also knows how to destroy ships with drones. So the Saudis and the Qatar are hiring him. And as part of their contract, they're doing mutual defense. So Ukraine's going into mutual defense treaties. Now, don't for 1 minute think that Trump didn't blow kisses at Ukraine for this, because he did. It takes the weight off of America. Ukraine is never going to lift a finger up to hurt America right now. That ain't happening. So he's going to move over there, train their people how to use the drones, sell them drones, teach them how to manufacture drones. I don't think there's enough time for that, but and he'll even bring soldiers over there to fight for them. Now, what are the Ukraine soldiers like? Super battle hardened, 3 years of war. Super hard. This is the worst thing that happened to Iran. Iran doesn't have any idea what the ferocity of the Ukrainian army is going to be. They don't know what is going to get happening to their soldiers. They don't understand the I mean these Ukrainian soldiers are excellent fighters. They're well trained. They're experienced. They're going to slaughter the Iranians. They're going to slaughter them. Now, the difference between the American Special Forces and them is the American Special Forces are very controlled and they're civilized and they're going to use restraint unless they're told not to. These Ukrainian guys are just going to go on the wild side, and it's going to be good for us, great for us. It's not going to be good for Iran. They don't know what kind of ferocious fighters they're going to run into on the ground till they meet these guys. Oh. There was an interview, I put it on my Telegram, of an Iranian soldier, and he said that he's encouraging all the soldiers in Iran to surrender. He says, "We're here and nobody's giving us any orders. They're like, don't know what's going on. Wait till the till they meet the Navy SEALs and the Green Berets and all those guys. And if that's not bad enough, they're going to get a chance to meet the Ukrainians." Iran might call for Hezbollah, I hope they do, in Lebanon to evacuate or withdraw from Lebanon and come to Iran. That'll give them 50,000, something like that. They might do that if we deactivate the missile launch capability of Hezbollah. They may say, well, come over here and help us fight. And they'll go. Or they might go to Iraq and help Iraq, but we'll see. Zelensky's a master of the drones. Watch. Mm-hmm. I don't know what size of money they got out of Qatar and uh, Saudi Arabia, but I'll bet it's in the billions. Zelensky might be the richest man in the world. He's been, rat holing all this money he gets. Zelensky's a Jew. Zelensky's going to hand Iran their head. I'm not kidding you. And, is Zelensky friends with Israel and Israel friends with Zelensky? Yup, we just don't talk about it too much. But yeah, we help them and they really like us. And yeah, there's a lot of Ukrainians living in Israel that are Jews. Yeah, no, there's good blood between Zelensky and Netanyahu. Oh boy, Iran really bought it there. See, the thing is that the American soldiers won't capture a two or three Iranian soldiers, and when they want intel, the Iranian soldiers will do things to them on the spot immediately because you need intel fast. I don't even want to describe what they'll do because you'll get nauseous, but they'll do things to these soldiers physically immediately to get information that, you know, if Green Berets and SEALs try this, they'll get in a lot of trouble. But Zelensky's people don't care. Qatar and Saudi Arabia don't care. And, you know, they're going to be meeting some really dangerous people, these Ukraine soldiers. See, the Israeli soldier doesn't get scared by that kind of crap because they just methodically bear down and shoot, use the artillery, use the drones, use the robots, use the bullets, use the airplanes, use everything and just methodically fight. That's all. There's no fear. We don't sit there and say, oh, these guys are so scary. But watch the Iranian soldiers, they'll get scared. You watch. These are people that are tough guys with an unarmed civilian population. Yeah. They don't know what they're in for yet. Don't get me wrong, the Navy SEALs and the Green Berets and the 82nd Airborne and Recon Marines are going to get their pound of flesh, believe me. But they don't know what it's like to fight the Ukrainians. They have no idea. Okay, and imagine this: these soldiers are being led by a Jew, you know, like Netanyahu. I mean, they're not going to be happy campers. Yeah. Will the Ukrainian soldiers rape the Iranian women? I'm afraid you might see that. Yeah. Okay. And so he's made all these mutual defense agreements with Qatar and Iran and weapons and all that stuff. And he said that he never had such agreements in the region before. He's very happy about that. Can Iran hit Ukraine? I don't know. Well, let's check the distance on that. I don't think Zelensky cares, but uh, what is the distance by air from Iran to Ukraine? Oh yeah, he could hit it. From Tehran to Kiev is 2,300 kilometers, but he could hit it. But that's from Tehran. If he goes further east in Iran, he could get a lower distance. So yeah, yeah, he'll Iran will try to launch at Ukraine, but they'll take the stuff down. They don't care. They're used to getting hit by Russia. They'll deal with it. They're set up for it. They'll do takedowns, and you know, if Iran really tries to torment uh, uh, Ukraine, he's going to torment Iran. Rest assured, it's going to come back on Iran. He'll dish it out. And he loves attacking oil refineries and oil storage and all that. He's really good at it. I don't know, the health plan was telling me something about they're available to me. I don't know what the anyway. It was something they sent out to everybody. Okay. Zelensky is saying these are 10-year agreements. Well, sorry, Zelensky, you don't have that kind of time. Mutual assistance, that's a mutual defense treaty. Okay. Um, Ukraine is particularly interested in protection against ballistic threats. Yeah, they're going to help with that. Oh, that's for sure. But they're going to help on the aggression too. We also have challenges related to energy, diesel, and so on. Therefore, in my opinion, all our agreements, which will be legally formalized, are very important for our state. Ukraine has never had such agreements in the region before. Zelensky said National Security and Defense Council Secretary Rustem Omerovis currently currently in the Middle East and will hold a series of meetings there. Yeah, and I'm sure Trump is behind it, and I'm sure Netanyahu thinks it's wonderful. Zelensky started his Middle Eastern tour on the 27th of March. He went to see Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and Jordan. Um, he concluded his deal. I think with Qatar and, but it might have been Kuwait because the Emir could be, yeah, I think it's Qatar and Saudi Arabia. And he said the UAE is going too. Yeah. So the ones that aren't going are Kuwait, Bahrain, and Oman. That makes a little sense to me. Kuwait should go, but they're probably scared to do anything. Um, well, there's fear now of internet cables being cut by the Houthis in Yemen. Um, that's highly likely. Um, Cables in the Red Sea get cut. It's most likely going to have no effect on Israel, unless it will have an effect on the nations around Yemen, Saudi Arabia down there. Um, it's not going to, Israel's working out of the Mediterranean, so it's not coming out of there. So that could happen. Iran has been escalating daily, by the way. Um, Iran might be in favor of internet outage, but they're using Starlink, these satellite internet that southern Lebanon is almost empty. 100 towers, those are high-rise buildings in Beirut, were destroyed. Do you understand? 100 high-rise buildings in Beirut. Now a tower can mean apartments or offices were destroyed. 1,000 Hezbollah terrorists were killed. Hezbollah is desperate, and that is likely got something to do with why our airport is getting more opened up now. I was having a lot of trouble getting some supplements that my wife needs, and some that I would like to have, but I could do without them. But my wife needs them, and now I got word they're working their way over, where they were just nothing was happening. Now they're moving, so that makes me. Of course, I'm glad, and I think I've asked you to pray, and I thank you for that. And it looks like things are opening up now. The UK is planning to upgrade one of its Royal Fleet auxiliary vessels with autonomous underwater drones to detect and neutralize sea mines in the Straits of Hormuz. The move is almost, no, the move is aimed at ensuring the safe flow of oil through the Straits of Hormuz. Well, I think that's great that they got some kind of drones that could detect the naval mines that these idiot Iranians are obviously using. Um, you would hope the world would wake up and realize that these terroristic, religious, fanatic, crazy people are a curse on the world at large, but they don't. Now, this is slipped through in the news and nobody picked it up, but it's serious. Pakistan officially announced the end of the ceasefire and the resumption of attacks in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is next door neighbor sharing a border with Iran. This is interesting. And Pakistan's friendly with Iran. So maybe Iran wants Pakistan in Afghanistan to protect an invasion. Trump might be using Afghanistan to invade Iran. Afghanistan is not so friendly with Trump at all, but they are hateful of Iran. So this is very interesting. This is definitely tied to the Iranian thing, you know. So it's very interesting twist. And what else? Prophecy. Brother fighting brother, Muslim fighting Muslim. You see it. You see it coming. You see it opening up. You see it unfolding. Lift up your head. Your redemption draweth nigh. Get that down. Come on. It's good. All things work to good for those who love the Lord. This is good. Malaysia Prime Minister thanked Iran for granting a license for his country's ships to pass through the Straits of Hormuz. I believe he's probably paying them a toll, but I don't know yet. So Malaysia is a Muslim majority country, a modern country, yet Muslim majority, I believe. This is, again, wild. It's actually a good thing, though. It's in Israel. I'll just read it to you. It's crazy, but good, crazy. Israeli police block Catholic figures from Palm Sunday Mass at Jerusalem's Holy Sepulchre. The incident marks the first time in centuries that Palm Sunday Mass couldn't be celebrated where many believe Yeshua was crucified according to the Latin the Pope thing. So they don't want the graven images, the three-dimensional statues. Israel blocked it. Isn't that good news? I never saw anything like this before. It's good. Pakistan is hosting U.S. and Iranian talks. I don't think there are any talks. I think that Pakistan is trying to convey stuff from America over there and trying to get something going, but it's not going. When there were talks, Iran would admit they were having talks with America, and they would tell you if they looked good or bad or what was going on. When they say that there's no talks, there's no talks. They think they're going to win with their missile cities. Kuwaiti tanker, this is a Kuwait tanker, Al Saimi, it sounds a little like salami. Let's call it Al Salami. Attacked by Iran drones, a drone, singular, off Dubai coast. The hull was damaged, fire and oil spill fears after Iranian attack on Kuwaiti oil tanker off Dubai coast. See, Iran just wants to keep pushing it, right? Okay. So they're, of course, attacking ships because they're saying the Persian Gulf is closed. Just because your country's on the Persian Gulf doesn't mean you could do what you want. You got to listen to Big Brother Iran. Okay, the Israeli Knesset passed a death penalty law. It passed. It's not proposed. It's finished. It passed. It's law. It pertains to Palestinians in the West Bank, because there's some other kind of a ruling law thing going on in the West Bank than there is in proper Israel legally. I mean, it is proper Israel, but legally there's a different law inside Israel. So anyway, if they were convicted of deadly acts of terror, so they would have had to kill somebody with an act of stupid terrorism, and then they could get the death penalty. The mode of death would be hanging. There are no appeals. They can't file the appeal thing like in America for years. Okay. We've got some fears, or people are raising fears, that Europe may turn against us on this and start with blocking, trade with us or something. I don't think anything of the sort will happen. Um, it actually mandates hanging, no right to appeal. The problem with the old way of not killing them is that encourages them to take hostages. Gaza got, I don't know, a good 5,000 terrorists out of jail by trading us hostages. So Trump, well, not Trump, Netanyahu or Israel is waking up after decades and saying, well, if we just kill them, then there's not going to be any getting them back. Now, that's not going to count for those that didn't kill anybody, just attempted it. So, in other words, uh, they gonna get arrested. They'll be in jail for maybe 25 years for an attempted murder of a Jew. Maybe they stabbed him or shot him and he didn't die, so they won't death penalty him. So they could still try to negotiate for them to come back, you know. A more internal fighting in Israel over the Haredi, the ultra Orthodox. The Attorney General halted the transfer of budget funds. Netanyahu, in the latest budget they just put together, had funds put in there to support the ultra Orthodox Haredi. The Attorney General didn't like the legality of that and blocked it. Um, the Attorney General, the woman, says that the parliamentary ruse used to approve the funds was designed to circumvent high court ruling barring financial benefits for Haredi draft dodges. The Lebanese sources are saying that the IDF soldiers are burning houses on fire in Magokura in the western sector of southern Lebanon. I've never known them to do the burning houses on fire. They blow them up when they're terrorists used. They blow them up. They don't burn them on fire. So I'm questioning the reality of that. I don't think it's true, and it came from Lebanon sources. So Trump in an interview with the New York Post. That was the paper my mother always got when we lived in the Bronx. Soon you will see my response to the Iranian attack on the refineries in Israel. That was by Haifa, I think. In a week, I will know if the Iranian parliament speaker Mohammed Ghalibaf is willing to work with us. Well, he can't because he's blocked by Israel. Well, he's not blocked by Israel. He's not going to work with the U.S. It's a joke. He then says that Moshe Taba, that's Khomeini's son, is seriously wounded. That's the one that they believe is in Moscow in a hospital, comas. Nobody's talking to him. And then there's a lot of people that think he's dead. So he's either unconscious or dead, or he's not functional. The White House, Trump would be interested in calling on Arab countries to pay for the war expenses. They'll never do it. Trump's trying, you got to hand it to him, but these Arab countries are never going to pay for the war, reimburse Trump. It is never. Forget it. So there's the beginning of the gas and the oil rationing, guys, around the world, and it's going to get worse. And it's going to put more pressure on somebody. Probably they're going to blame Trump. Why not? Trump's the one they like to blame. They'll blame Trump. They'll blame the wrong one. I mean, it's the Iranians they should blame, not Trump. But they're gonna try to make a deal. Remember, the 30 countries got together without America. They're going to try to make some sort of deal with Iran and sell out to Iran or something. But I think that things are going to become rather difficult for that to happen with the ground attacks. I think Trump is just waiting to bring in more equipment, soldiers, aircraft carriers, aircraft. I don't know what else he needs. He's just waiting to bring that in. They brought, it was 12 of these A-10 Warthog things that they call them Thunderbolt or something that they brought in. It was a dozen, so it wasn't like 100. But they probably have a dozen already, so it adds up. Do I think Trump's soldiers will get slaughtered in Iran? No. The opposite. No, they're not going to get slaughtered. If it starts looking that way, that they're doing very badly, they'll change tactics till they find the right formula where there's next to no or no troops getting killed or anything like that. They're not going to give Iran the chance to massacre a lot of troops or something like that. That isn't going to happen. Trump likes his soldiers. He's not about to let them get hurt very much at all. Let's see. Well, this was very substantial here as a joke. Thieves stole 12 tons of Kit Kat bars in Europe in a chocolate heist. Kit Kats are good bars. What are they going to do? Sell black market Kit Kat bars? Boy, they're getting desperate, huh? Crazy stuff going on, I'll tell you. Okay, let's see. Let me go take a look at the live stream, see if we got questions or things I need to answer. What's going on with this thing? There it is. All right. So being a Bible believing site, Old and New Testament, I'm going to do some crazy. All right, let's see what we got in the chat, if anything. Let me tell you some of the things that you're not going to get in here because I lived here for many, many years. Something's changed for the better. All of a sudden, the packages coming to the airport are moving again. So that means Israel opened up the airports more than it had in the past. So that means I don't think I have any requests or questions. So it looks like what we're going to be seeing in the next several days is basically more attacks on Iran, and they are hitting infrastructure now. So Trump's not really having any negotiations with them. America's hitting infrastructure too. So we're going to be hitting things in Iran while we wait for more while we watch America collect more war equipment. And you get more war equipment and more special forces ground troops. And that's what's going to go on. So I'll get a prayer out. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, I pray for me and my wife and all the true believers in the household to have your strength, stamina, and endurance, and your healing and recuperative power. And I pray that us and all our animals and pets be safe, secure, happy, healthy, and whole. And I pray we have adequate finances, and if we need work, we find work. If we need clients and customers, we find that. And I pray that I pray for the peace of Jerusalem. We understand the Bible better, and I can do better videos. And I thank you for the offerings that are coming in. Much appreciated. And I also good job. And that's B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, and you can agree with that. And I loose off of all of us, me and my wife, all the true believers, their household, everything they own, possess, or control, or set their hand to, or their animals and pets. I loose off of all of them and these things. Any witchcraft or sorcery, it's all null and void for all time. No value, no effect forever. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. You can agree with that. And I'll be doing updates on live stream updates on YouTube if something happens that's extraordinary. If not, I'll just update on Telegram. And if I do update with the live stream, it'll appear on Telegram. And I'll post it up on Telegram, and I'll probably post it up in Twitter too. And that's what I got. Things are looking better and better for Israel and worse for these nations squatting on our land. And I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. And I'm out, guys. Thanks. And I hope you got something out of this.